So welcome everybody to this evening's LGFA webinar. My name is William Harmon, joined by my colleague Stephen Maxwell in Leinster. Say hello, Stephen.
Very good evening, everyone. Looking forward to this.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to it too, Stephen. I hope everybody at home is looking forward to it as well. So look, it's 7 o'clock on the dot. It's vitally important when you're planning layout and reviewing a coaching session, you start on time. So it's important to start on time. So we'll be about 70 minutes, I suppose, approx, but we won't be no more than 70 minutes. We'll probably be a bit less. Like normal, we'll be interacting with you throughout the webinar in terms of the program. And if also a lot of stuff will be done through the chat function as we go ahead as well. If you have any issues with sound or anything like that, just please leave the webinar and come back in. So without further ado, we'll get started. So as I said, tonight we're looking at the planning, layout and review of a coaching session, and specifically looking at that now. We're not looking at any in terms of content, we're looking more of the process around it. So in this webinar tonight, we will be looking at, Joe, to list a few key items to consider when planning a coaching session. So when you're planning a coaching session, what are the things you need to be thinking about? To display a variety of different coaching session formats. We'll give you a few ideas of different coaching formats, and also to demonstrate in multiple ways to review a coaching session. And we'll show you a few templates around that as well. Just regarding the chat function, guys, be sure to make sure that you type in and reply to all panelists and everyone to make sure everybody can see your comments so that you all can share your ideas as we go through the webinar. Okay. So we're going to start off with a simple poll. So I'm going to put up a poll in a second. On a scale of 1 to 10, if I was to ask you, how well do you plan and review your coaching sessions currently? So 1 being very poor, 1 being excellent. So I'm going to put up the poll now in about 10 seconds. I want you to just let me know so we have an idea of where you are at regarding planning and reviewing sessions. So off we go, guys. So they're coming in flying, Stephen, which is great to see.
Some people are even putting it through into the chat function. So
Good stuff.
It's nice to see where everybody's head is at.
Yeah. Great stuff. So very good. So I'll just give you an idea of what the poll is saying. So in general, it's kind of coming around between a 5 and a 7. So the majority, 30%, are at a 6, and then about 20% are at a 7. So between 5, 6 out of 10, 5, 6, 7 out of 10 is where people are at regarding same. So well done. Thank you very much for that, guys. It's just nice to get an idea of where everybody's at. So between 5, 6 or 7 out of 10. So thank you very much for engaging that. So we'll move it on. I suppose you're all aware, guys, last week, massive announcement where the Gaelic Games family launched the player pathway, Gaelic Games player pathway, which is fantastic to see. Now we've one player pathway that's across all 3 associations, the GA, the Ladies Football and the Camogie Association. For more details on the Gaelic Games player pathway, please guys, log on to our website. There's actually a video, there's some cards, there's a document that goes into more detail regarding the player pathway. But let's keep it simplistic for tonight. So if you were to ask me, William, what is the player pathway? Basically what it is from a coaching perspective, that every girl in the country that wants to play our game, ladies football, they have an opportunity to get involved. That no matter where they are in their stage of development, they have an opportunity to get involved in our game. That's basically what it is. And where does it kind of come in for you as coaches? Let's think about this in the context of you as a coach. You need to be aware of the stage of development that your players are at. So when you know the stage of development your players are at, then you will apply the appropriate level of training applicable to the stage of development. So that's basically what the player pathway is about. It's about giving you guidance and direction in terms of what is it I should be doing with the age group that I'm with, and guidance there, and within that coach stage of development. Now, within the phases, the foundation, talent, and elite, in high performance phase, we have key coaching capacities. So within each phase, there's 4 key coaching capacities. There's technical, tactical, physical, and psychosocial. Okay. So on our website, guys, you can access this. So if you were to ask us in the morning, well, I'm with the under 10s, Will, what should I be doing? Okay. Here's a simple guideline that can give you a bit of guidance. Is it absolute? Absolutely not. It's just a guidance for you and for your fellow coaches in your club. So I would suggest maybe over the coming days, and I've no problem emailing this out as well to everybody who's on the call tonight, If you'd like to get an idea of what is it you should be doing at those areas with the age group that you're with at the moment or the age cohort, then here's an excellent guideline. Like, Stephen, it's a great guide, really, and it's only a guide. It's because actually it's down to the coach and the stage of development your players are at. But it's a nice guide, I think, to give coaches a bit of direction. Would you agree?
Oh, definitely. I think the hardest thing for all coaches and even players is the starting point. So it gives you a starting point in regards to your planning.
Oh, it's brilliant. And also there's a bit of what kind of coaching style would be best for that age group as well. Look, over the coming days, guys, I would definitely recommend you get an opportunity to give a look at the player pathway and also our competencies chart. Okay, in the chat function. So Stephen, we're going to get our colleagues all listening in tonight. If you're planning a session in the morning, right, let's go. We're back in the morning and you're thinking about planning a training session. What are the key factors that would come into your mind? So you're planning like normal. So in the chat function, and Stephen will relay a few back to me, and I'll also give a look at it as well. What are the key factors to consider regarding, I suppose, coaching, doing a coaching session?
So we've got warm-up, drills, games, fun, fitness of players, enjoyment.
And enjoyment is coming across a lot into Steve, which is great, which is good to see. How many do I have, says Brona. That's good to see. What else is coming through, Stephen?
The main focus or the aim of the session,
Very
the ability of the group, your equipment, again, enjoyable, inclusive.
Excellent. Great to see. Actually, Sean Ryan, I see you have a question there as well. That's probably, I will come back to that later on as well, Sean, or if not, we'll answer it afterwards. Great stuff to see. Excellent. What are the technical skills? How do we make it fun? How do we build a bit of team building into it? Brilliant outcomes. Well done, Martina. Very good. Excellent to see. So there's good kind of feedback there, Stephen.
Plenty coming back to us.
Plenty coming back. So let's see, right? If you're planning a session, right? Okay, what are the key things to be considering? Right, look at this. Give a look at this. So if you're writing, we would always advocate if you're doing a plan, ink it, because if you ink it, you're thinking it. If you think it, ink it. Whatever it may be, always write down what's in your head and put it on paper. And the key point from this really is, it's all about asking the right questions of yourself. So let's go through it. What is the outcome of your session? If you're clear in your mind, today I want to practice our kicking. Okay, right. Now, I'm going to deliver a session that's going to be really focused on developing the kick pass, whether it be drills or activities or small-sided game. So therefore, you straight away have a focus point. How many players will I have? So think about this. How can you plan if you don't know how many players you have turning up? So it's vitally important that you have some system in place whereby parents will inform you, or players will inform you a certain time before training who's attending, who's not. Because if you know who's coming, then you can plan accordingly. I think that's a big one really, Stephen. Knowing who's going to be coming in the gate in training. Now, obviously there's going to be one or two that'll be missing from that, but it definitely helps your planning, I feel.
Oh, massively, especially if there's a big difference in the numbers you're expecting and the numbers that show up. Like some coaches, if their planning is not detailed enough, they might be lost in the situation.
100%. Like, so how can you plan if you don't know who's turning up, or you're standing there wondering how many are going to come in the gate? So it's vitally important you put in a little system in place whereby you know who's coming in. What activities help me achieve my outcome? So this is interesting. So let's go back to our team of kicking. So if I'm doing a small-sided game, well, I might put a certain condition in the game to achieve my outcome. So I'll give you an example. Okay, if we execute 3 excellent passes in one play, then before we get a score, I'll give you an extra score. There's an example of putting something into your small-sided game to achieve your outcome. If you have 10 players, you might only have to set up that small-sided game in one area. If you have 30 players, you might have to set up 3 of those areas. So knowing who's coming in the gate, knowing what activities you want to do, will then determine how many of those activities you need. I think sometimes we forget about that, Stephen. We can actually maximize our games and activities to probably also focus on certain areas. So if we're playing a small-sided game, that idea of putting a small condition in there to probably focus on your main theme. Yes, you're doing the other skills and the other activities, but there's a nice little focus there. What's your thoughts on that, Stephen?
I know, I completely agree with you. And to be honest, in regards to numbers, I always plan for having the maximum numbers or maybe a few extra. I rather be picking up cones than laying out cones when kids arrive.
Very good. And that's a very good point. And that, I'm very similar to yourself, Stephen. I never move cones in sessions. I always have them ready to go. They're down, and I'm actually just moving them out of the way. Excellent. How will I use my time wisely and ensure flow? And we'll come to layout in a few minutes that might help with that. If everything is ready to rock and roll in terms of all your activities and all your session, your drills, then there's going to be great flow because you're not going to be wasting time setting up an activity, setting up the next drill or whatever it may be. So try and have that flow. If you only have a small space, well, think about that then. Well, how many activities can I do in this space that I don't have to be moving too many cones or whatever it may be? What do we see the players do? What do we see the coach do? And we're going to come back to this in a few minutes. But when I say about what do we see the coach do, guys, we're talking about the coaching skills. And we'll come back to it in a minute. How will I engage my group? And in the chat function, Stephen, a lot of the participants were saying about, engage in the group, and talk. But therefore, you need to plan what questions you're going to ask. So as they come in the gate, what question? I'm going to say hello to everybody. I'm going to ask them how their day was. Okay, if I'm doing a small-sided game and we're taking a break, well, I'm going to ask, what question do I ask them? Well, what are we trying to achieve here? What is the issue? What is the concern? How can we improve it? Who's finding the solutions? And we'll show you examples of that later on. But you need to think about what questions you need to ask to engage the group rather than on the night trying to think of these on your feet. What equipment will I use? So okay, well if I'm going to set up two small-sided games, right, I'm going to need 6 footballs, 3 for this game, 3 for that game, right? I'm going to have one ball behind each goal, one ball in play, so therefore the game is going to be on constant flow. Think about if you only had one ball in a small-sided game. When the ball goes over the bar, the goalkeeper has to go and get it. By the time she gets it in back, you can already have a cup of tea and the game, So just think about those small things about flow and efficiency. Small things that make a big difference. How will I organize the groups? And this is a big one, I suppose, Stephen, in terms of how will I organize the groups? Because I suppose in sessions you have players that are varied ability levels. They're at different stages of development. And I suppose that's where the pre-attendance comes into in terms of knowing who you have. So when you're putting teams together for small-sided games or activities, you can match ability to suitability. What's your thoughts on that, Stephen?
No, I completely agree with you, but at the same time, if my player has, a low level ability, how are they going to get better? Test them against the best players in the group. And I'll be honest, there was nothing worse when I was a player and the coach is there. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, you can play the numbers game through an activity and break them up quicker. Less standing around, and there's more enthusiasm then.
What I do in my session, Stephen, is I actually write out the groups in a piece of paper. So if I'm going to a session, I go, right, okay, Mary, Joan, Sheila, and Veronica, you're here, put on the green bibs. So I have it all laid out. I think I agree with you. I would mix and match. I would be very clever in terms of how I go about my setup, because if you constantly put girls into, say, certain groups all the time, there's this feeling that maybe I'm not good enough. I'm not as good as those girls, so therefore I would say mix and match. So every now and then mix it up, test the girls who are perceived less in a different stage of development to the girls who are perceived to be in a higher. So I would always say mix and match. Okay, some sessions they have their own ability, but other sessions you're mixing and matching. So just be clever in your planning in terms of how you go about that. But if you think about it, you will plan that accordingly. How will I ensure everybody's challenged? Just another one. So, okay, I've girls of various stages of development. There's different ability levels. I have 2 small-sided games set up. Okay, how do I challenge girls appropriately within that setup? So, Stephen, I was asking you have 12 players, say, and they're all different abilities, and you're playing 6v6. Tell me, how would you challenge the girl who's at different stage of development to another girl? What would you do? Give me an example of what you would do.
I suppose maybe if one player is dominating, I'd give them some extra conditions on their game. So if they're carrying the ball 10 or 12 yards every time they get possession, okay, you have 4 steps and you must lay the ball off, to give everybody else opportunities if someone's dominating.
So therefore, you're giving them challenges. I like that. So therefore, you're saying, listen, I'm going to challenge you in this game. You only have 4 steps. You have to release the ball. Okay, the other girls, yeah, no problem. You can play. You can have one play, one hop, one solo. Okay, think about this. Okay, right, the girls who are at different stages of development, right, the girls, you're going to work off your non-dominant leg. Pull up your sock so I know that you're going to kick off your non-dominant. Now, if you do that, if you kick off your non-dominant leg, I'll give you an extra score. Okay, I'll give your team an extra score. So anybody that kicks off their non-dominant leg, I'll give you an extra score. So you're challenging the group, even though they're all together, you're challenging them individually as well. So you don't have to change the activity. You just change the condition. That's all. So some girls, okay, guys, you no tackling, or you're going to have to kick off your non-dominant leg, or you have one hop, one solo, or you got to release the ball after 4 steps. So different conditions in a small-sided game that will challenge players appropriately. But you need to think about that. You need to have all that ready in terms of when you've got your session, your teams together. What rules I need to be aware of? What I mean here is, you need to be aware of the rules of the game. And we did a webinar a few weeks ago focusing on, in order to be able to implement activities and drills, and you need to be aware of the rules of the game. On our website, we have an online rules refresher. Take it for just someday for the crack. Go on, and it's 50 short questions, multiple choice. See where you're at. You cannot coach players to the level they want to be at if you don't know the rules of the game. So therefore, if you're doing a kick-out strategy or you're playing a game, you need to know what rules pertain to that. So therefore, you can coach the girls applicable to the game. And how will I maximize my coaching group? I think, Stephen, this is another one in terms of the coaching groups. Like, you have 2 or 3 people working with you. I presume you feel your job is to develop those coaches as well. What do you do to make sure that they're aware of their roles and how they get involved?
Oh, massively. Like, when I'm delegating out the duties within the plan, each coach will have a certain activity to be working on. So if we're going to split the group into 3 or 4 groups, each coach will have an area. Or if we have a smaller group, each coach will step in at different times and then know exactly when they're coming in and coming out. And that goes into our planning.
Exactly. So everybody knows they're part of the planning beforehand. They know when they're turning up, what station they have, what activity they're doing. They can plan accordingly. And that's where you really develop coaches, guys. That's where you develop each other and you work on each other. Before I move on, anything in the chat function that you want to raise, guys, please, anything in the chat function that you maybe want to ask at this point, put it in the chat function. Myself and Steve will be more than happy to try and answer as we go along. But they're just small things to be aware of. So in terms of asking the right questions. So Stephen, let me know if there's anything coming in the chat that you can ask as we go along. So it's all about asking the right questions. How many players will I have? Who is going to turn up? We're going to plan for more players rather than less players, because when you plan for more players, you can adapt with less players a lot easier. You're going to plan your activities to suit your theme. What is your theme? You can still work on other aspects, but there's a specific focus. We're going to have our layout, which we'll go through in a few minutes. In terms of challenging players, yeah, Stephen, what's coming through?
Mairead was just wondering, what website were you talking about when she's doing her rules refresher?
The LGFA website, the GAE learning websites. Stephen, you might put in the link there for her. It's the GAE learning website. It's under, if you go into that, guys, you'll see there's an LGFA section. That's where you can access the rule. Before the night ends, I'm actually going to go into that page. Is it Elaine? I'm actually going to go into that website at the end, Elaine. So I'll actually show you where it is, okay? So if you want to bear with me on that one, I'll show you. Anything else coming through, Stephen?
So we've got a great one from Frank here. Goalkeeper coaching, free kick practice, how we put that into the session.
Yeah, and I know you're doing great webinars in April regarding that specific topic around how do we implement and ensure that our goalkeepers and those specific skills are going to be tailored for our session. So Stephen, coming up in April, you have 2 goalkeeping sessions coming up in April. I'm right in saying that? What dates are they again, Stephen?
So April 12th, we've got the player's perspective, and April 19th, we've got the coach's perspective.
Excellent. So guys, there you are. But again though, Frank, all I would say to you is think about it. Okay, well, if I want my goalkeeper to do specific stuff, then have I got people with me to support me with that? Okay, well, if that's the case, well, what activities do they need to be doing and what can you do to support them? So it's all about thinking about that, Frank. Let's go back to the free taking one. Let's think about this, right? We have a small-sided game, Frank. Maybe you put in a condition in the small-sided game and go, right, whatever team scores, and you lay out 10 cones. You lay out 10 cones randomly. Whatever team scored, you're going to get a free kick from whatever cone you want. So now you're going to practice your free taking along with the game. So whatever team scores, because you're going to get a free shot from any cone you want. So you get your free taker practicing their free kicks within a small-sided game. So you can let me know, Stephen, as things are coming along, and I'll move along here. But let me know if anything's...
We've one more there that actually I get on an awful lot of cases. So Alexandra's asking, how do you motivate the lazy player? So from my point of view, I love those kind of challenges. It's the coach's responsibility to find what drives their players, and that's your test as a good coach.
I think that's it. I think you hit the nail head. So what was that lady's name again, Stephen? Alexandra, I would say you need to find out what motivates them, why are they there. And by asking, finding out why and asking open questions about, you'll always find out they're always going to turn up. They're going to be, but also though, you need to excite them and stimulate them regarding your activities, your session, how you engage, interact. So Alexandra, it's really about how you go about your business in terms of keeping them connected. Because if the session, there's no flow and it's very stop, start, and then players will get very, lax in that. Where if you keep it going, challenge them appropriately, then I think those players will come on as well within their own. But give them little kind of, tasks to do. Give them little goals for themselves. Come here now in this game. I'm going to see, can you kick 2 points? And when she kicks 2 points, can you really praise her? It creates her confidence and her self-esteem. Let's go on to the layout. And Stephen, if anything's coming through, just let me know. But we'll move on to the layout and we'll go back with any other questions in a minute. So what do we mean by layout? Okay, we're saying be there about 20 or 30 minutes in advance. Why? This is just me, Stephen, but I'm always the first there. Now, I'm very bad. I'm always there half an hour beforehand. I just had this in my head. I have to be there half an hour because I feel I get more relaxed because I have everything laid out. I'm looking around, everything's laid out. So then when the players come, I can engage and talk to the players and, put on the old music. I always have the boom box as well. I have a bit of music as well. So I put on the music as they come in and I'm talking to players as they come. Like, what are you like, Stephen, like that? Do you come early?
I'll be honest with you, I'm way worse than you. If I'm not an hour early, I'm late. Do you know what I mean? So I'm an hour early, I get everything laid up, then I can walk the pitch, relax myself, start thinking about what I'm going to be saying to the players. And again, like yourself, I'm greeting everybody. So I'm able to relax and greet everybody as they arrive.
Yeah, and don't worry, guys, if you're nervous before sessions. That's good because you want to do the best job possible. I was nervous tonight doing this because I want to do the best job possible, so that's okay. But when you're there early, you have everything laid out, you've all your gear assigned, you've got your coaches with you, your support coaches are there as well, you're talking to each other, you're all clear on what you're doing, you find yourself to relax and then the session will flow. It sets the tone, it sets the confidence. Parents are coming in going, whoa, or the players are even going, I wonder what we're doing tonight. Now, you mightn't have a whole clue what you're doing, but you're given the perception you know what you're doing. So it's confidence straight away. This coach knows what she's at. This coach knows what he's at. So therefore, players are coming straight away, they're bounding themselves going, yeah, I'm looking forward to this. So it's an opportunity to engage and connect. Make sure the activities are safe. In other words, don't be putting a small side game near a fence where a player could run off the side and she could run into a fence. Things like that, just small things like that, where you're positioning your activities, that they're not going to be running off into a fence or whatever it may be. So it's very important that where you position your activities, they're safe. There's no rabbit holes in the field or whatever it may be. Make sure there's an effective transition. I'll go to that in a few minutes. To minimize movement of cones. Now in my sessions, Stephen, I went from loads of cones to less cones. I hardly have no cones now. But with the younger age groups, you'd need a lot of cones. But I think you're throwing cones away rather than throwing cones down. That'd be my thinking on cones anyway, that everything's laid out and ready to go.
I'm the same, William. I don't want, if I'm moving a cone, I didn't plan properly. That's the big thing for me.
Yeah. And how many times are we in sessions and our back are turned to the players, they're standing there, they're looking at you setting up the next drill, and they're looking at you and your fellow coaches are looking at you as well because they don't know what they're doing. So do you see how it all could create a bit of chaotic conditions? So it's just important that everybody's aware of their role is. Everything's laid out pre-hand, and therefore then it's just a smooth transition. Designate the water for your chat breaks. So okay guys, for now we're going to focus on this activity. Go on away now and have your water and have a chat. So you're using your water breaks as chat breaks, the opportunity to interact and connect. Stephen, is there anything coming through that people want to have a chat about before we move it on?
So Martina is ideas about reintroducing them, considering the kids have been off for a long layoff. So how do we accelerate the training program they're talking about?
Well, I think that's this is very important, and I suppose it goes back to your planning. I suppose I don't want to, I suppose tonight I want to keep it specific to planning, I suppose layout and review, but I'll answer that question in terms of don't go crazy in terms of going back to, in terms of high level and high intensity too soon. So practice linear running at 75%, changing direction at 75%. The games mightn't be as high intensity as you want it to be. So you might play them in bigger spaces rather than smaller spaces. You might play them for a longer time. So things like that you need to think about. So when you're coming back, I wouldn't go crazy in terms of flat out. It's about 75%. There's a lot of linear stuff, change of direction, but also your games are in larger spaces. So therefore they get used to the movement of back again. I hope that answered that question.
Yeah.
Okay, so a few ideas of structure. You're probably asking me, give us a few ideas of structure. So I'm going to give you the structures that I use in my own sessions. So I've used these. So I'm not bluffing here. And Stephen's going to show a few of these as well. So unstructured play. So I always say that, right, if a session's starting at 7:30, I always say, okay, between 7:15 and 7:30, it's unstructured play, it's chat time. So I have the goal set up. So if I have two small side games, I have the goal set up. I have the bibs laid out. So as the players come, they can play. So if you want to play one, a girl comes and she puts on the bib. The next girl comes, she puts on the other bib. Now they're playing 1v1 in the goal. Have a bit of crack. Another girl comes, now it's 2v1. So they're playing a game before we even start. Or, if you don't want to do that, they can just have chat. So interact with your players in chat. So between 7:15 and 7:30, it's a chat. Then you're doing your warm-up. You're doing your warm-up specific in a certain area. Then you're going on to your movement quality. That goes back to the point made earlier on. Movement quality, I always work on lunging, bounding, hopping off one leg onto the other leg, a bit of speed work, a bit of change of direction, stopping, starting. You can introduce that with skills. So do that, a bit of that. Then you go skill development. Okay, now we're going to work on certain skills. Tonight we're going to work on the kick pass. So the activities I do are working on the kick pass. Now, in my opinion, I would have no more than 3 on a cone. No more than 3 girls on a cone. So if I've 30 players, that's 6 players per activity. That 6 into 30 goes 5 times. I'm going to have 5 of those activities set up. That's how I'm going to do it. Small size activity then, if I have 30 players, I'm going to go 2 pitches. I'm going to have, maybe 3 pitches, and I'm going to have, 7 or 8 per group. And they're playing 5-a-side, 6-a-side games, small side. Then they're going to play a game. Now, the key with the game is, if you're going to promise a game at the end, then give it the time it deserves. How many times have we lose sight, we play a game for 2 minutes and they're gone out the gap? Vitally important, if you in your plan say you're going to give it 10 minutes, then give it 10 minutes. But if your session is not efficient, you're going to run out of time. So we'll come back to in a minute in that. How do we eradicate that? And then you always finish with a fun activity. It could be something very simple as 2 girls, one in front of the other, head, hands, feet. And when you call the ball, first person to grab the ball wins. Always have the players going out the gate and smiling. You could do this as senior players. It doesn't matter. So there's one structure that you work on. Here's another one. I hope I'm not going too fast in, Stephen. But here's another one. So you have your unstructured play or chat. So as I said, they can play 1v1, 2v2, 3v3 as they come in. So let them play. Off you go. Plant a bib there and play a game. Go on, play a game. Warm up. You could do the movement quality with the skill development. So therefore, for example, it could be one station is whereby they're running out to the cone, they're stopping, they're going back and they're running out to another cone. So that's what they're doing. The next station is where they're catching the ball high in the air and they're landing on their feet in a station. So you've about, say, 4 stations. The next one's where they're changing the direction, soloing the ball. The next one could be whereby they're doing fast feet through a ladder. So you're mixing skill development with movement quality. So it could be fast feet through a ladder, run off the ladder and grab a ball. It could be go through poles, changing direction, and solo left and right. So you can mix and match. This one now is different. You play the small-sided game. You let them off for a while. Then you stop the game. You say, come in. Team A and Team B, go away and have a chat for a while. You're going to go back and play this game now in a few minutes. What are you going to do differently? What are you going to do? No, what are you going to improve on? Go back and play the game again. finish with your game, and finish your fun activity. Stephen, what's your thoughts on those two layouts? Would you've tried something similar before we go into other styles and ways? But they're ones I've tried, and they work. But I think what's in key is in each one of these, you need to have multiple activities set up to make sure that you don't have too many girls in an activity in one area, if that makes sense, Stephen.
Oh
What's
no,
your thoughts?
definitely, and it all depends on the aim of the session or the team of the session. But I usually, after a movement quality, we go into small-sided games, and then obviously on the side of that, I would have drills set up ready to go, just in case the skills aren't at the quality we want. But if the skill level is as high as we would want it, we don't even go to those drills. So they're there in case we need to break it down, and then we go back into our small-sided games again.
That's excellent. So in your plan, you might have, right, okay, this is what I might see in the game. Well, if I see, okay, your team could be kicking, right? And in your condition, you might say, right, you got to get 3 great kicks, over 20 meters before you get a score. And you know what? The kicking's not bad, The kicking's good. It's good. You're observing it. They're good, working off the left and right side of the body, good direction, good. So therefore, when you bring the groups in, you mightn't have to do the drill that you had outlined to improve kicking, because you know what? Let's have a chat about it and let's go back to the game again. So again, look how you adapt what you've planned. But if you don't think about what you're looking for, or you don't know what you're looking for, then when it comes to stop it, you won't know how to deal with the scenario. So that's an excellent point, Stephen. Here's another layout. Assign the groups beforehand. So if you have big numbers, you have big numbers in your session, then I always assign the groups beforehand. I try this. So I have 6 groups: green bibs, yellow bibs, no bibs, blue bibs, whatever color bibs I need, I get them. So as they come in, I assign them. So Steve, William, Stephen, Mir, whatever, you're into that group, put on the blue bibs. So therefore, I don't change the bibs for the rest of the session. They're in their groups. That's it. You're in your groups now, guys, for the rest of the session. That's your group. So you do a warm up together, everybody together. It could be fun. It could be movement quality, working on functional movement like squatting, lunging, straight leg raises. It could be a bit of skill work. It could be a bit of ball familiarization. And then what you do is, now you divide them up. So you have your 4 stations laid out. Red group, over to the game station. Blue group, over to the condition game station. Yellow group, down to the team building station, which is a bit of fun. Their work as a team, fun activities. Orange group, down to the movement quality station. Now think about this. I have 4 helpers. I have 1 helper at each station. Each of those helpers have planned their station all week, so they know what they're doing. They know they're going to have no more than 8 players in their station, because we know how many players we have. We know if we divide them to 4, we're going to have this amount of number. And now they're going to have to coach that station 4 times. So all that the plan is for 1 activity, but they're going to do it 4 times. But look at the game here now. So we're all talking about, geez, we never have time to play a game. Well, why don't you build it into the stations and have 1 station where they're going to play football and a game? It could be 3v3, 4v4, put 2 goals, it's a game. So now you're not worried about playing the game at the end, because it's part of the system. It's part of the structure. Every girl is going to get an opportunity to play a game today. Then a condition game. So think about this. You could be working on kicking. So the condition game could be kicking only. So the team to get 5 kicks all in one, win the game. The game could be, right, guys, we're working on a game, but if you kick the ball twice before getting a score, you get an extra point. The team building game is just a bit of fun, just something different, bit of fun, working as a group. And then the movement quality is working that game, those skills and movement quality. The importance of, in ladies football, lower limb injuries are huge, in particular the knee. So we have to work on our movement quality. We have to work on lunging, squatting, stopping, starting, changing direction. Just build them into small little stations within that group, and it'll work well. And then finish with a fun activity again. Steve, what do you think of this layout? What's your thoughts on it?
I think it's pretty good. I suppose just looking through the chat, one of the most common things is the block booking of pitches. So you're only getting 60-minute slots and you're waiting. So the big thing, we can still do our warm-ups, guys, off the side of the pitch. We don't need an awful lot of space. It can be standing. You can get your dynamics and your movement quality in there as well. So as soon as you get your 7 p.m., you're ready to go and hit that pitch.
100%. You've got to be efficient, guys. But it goes back to the planning. What questions you need to ask? Okay, what team is on before me? What space are they using? Do you ever link in with the team before you? Do you ever ask the question, how many times do we say, oh, the under 16s are training before us on the pitch, but they might only be using 1/4 of the pitch? Did you ever ask the coach, come here to me, I'm on after you this evening, what part of the pitch are you using? Yeah, look, I'm using just half the pitch. Excellent. Now I know I've half the pitch to plan. So you need to communicate and ask those questions. If you don't know, you can't plan. If you're turning up hoping you have a green area or hoping that the others aren't using the full pitch, then you're straight away on the back foot. So you need to communicate with your fellow coaches. You need to make that work. Sometimes teams could be working on different things. So they might need the full pitch. And also, Stephen is also very important. They might be just a small area at the side of the pitch that could be free. Why not do your warm-up? So when the other team are finished, you're going straight into your stations. So just things just to be very, very careful of in your planning. But communicate with your fellow coaches and see how that works. Here's the final one. So we asked the question earlier on about games. And we have an issue with playing games. And we run out of time. So here's another one. Start with the game. Have two pitches set up. Play a game. Right, guys, 8v8 over here. 8v8 over here. We're going to play 10 minutes, play football. We're going to observe what's going on. We're going to observe what's going on in the games. And the condition game you go into, we'll work on that specific skill or that specific area. So observe the game. We're just going to observe it. Guys, what do you think? Yeah, today now their delivery of the ball with the hand pass is not great. Okay, condition game. That's it. Team building activity, movement quality again. So now we've 3 stations, but then we go back to the game again. So we're observing, have we improved? Have we developed? So observe, say nothing, just watch the first game. Ask the players afterwards, what do you think we can work on? And that could be your condition game. Right, we're going to work on that here, so. And then go back and play the game again and then see have you improved and developed. So look at the various formats here. My advice to you is very simple. There's no right format. There's no wrong format. What I would advocate is try it and see how you get on. I don't know, Stephen, that's how I learn. I might try this tonight now. And it could either work or it mightn't work. But I know if it works, I know how to improve it. If it doesn't work, then I won't do it again. But if I don't know, sure, how do I know? What do you think, Stephen, about those thoughts?
I think, like the big thing, William, is it's not an exact science. Every players are going to react differently to what you plan, and you've got to find out what works good for the team you're involved in. Yes. Like there's a question that come up there: is there a difference in the structure of these club sessions versus the structure of a player development session at county level? And what I'd say to that is, everybody's players are different, so the plan has to be suiting the team you're working with, and that takes time. You're going to figure out what's best for your team. You're not going to get it perfect straight away.
Well, I coached at underage guys. I've coached at player academy level. I've coached at senior level, senior club, and I've also been involved in inter-county. The formats I've showed you here, I've used across all board. They work. Every format works, guys. It works if you know what you're doing. If you know what your outcome is what you're focusing on. It works if your fellow coaches knew what they're about. So layout, guys, will work if it's applicable to what you're doing, as Stephen says. So here's an example, so how you could lay it out. So warm up over in this area. You have the 3 stations, the movement, quality, skill development, condition game. They rotate every 10 minutes. You have your 2 games set up. Then this could be a half a pitch. This doesn't have to be a full pitch at all. I've done this in half a pitch. So the point I'm trying to make is you come up in your own mind of what a format would work with the numbers you have and what you're trying to focus on, and try it out. There's loads of different formats. I'm sure there's people here tonight that have tried other formats and they've worked. So there's no right or wrong regarding same. So, okay, let's move it on to the end session. What should we see the players doing and what should we see the coach doing? Is there any questions before I move on, Stephen? Is there anything coming in there that you want to address?
We just had one on equipment. So there's a Carmel is here. She's 24 girls, under 8s down to under 6. What equipment would you recommend? Are there any must-haves?
Yeah, I would be thinking there, size 3 footballs, the quick touch go games footballs. Size 3 footballs are good as well because I think they're smaller and they're more appropriate to the stage of development of the players and their physicality. I would think a lot of you can think about this. The movement quality station I was talking about there about going over ladders. If you don't have ladders, use cones. If you don't have poles, use cones. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of ways. Sometimes all you need is football bibs. If you have football bibs and cones, you're on a winner. I would say, though, try and have 1 ball per at least every 3 players. That's one ball to every three. Ideally, one ball per player. I think that's where you should be going after. One ball per player. Tell the players bring their own footballs. Tell them bring them. I don't care if they're big or small. Bring them. Have the footballs. One ball per two would be great. One ball per three would be the utmost, I'd be thinking. Okay? So I want you have footballs, you have bibs, and you have cones. You'll go a long, long way. And in particular, I suppose, with the underage, under sixes, eights, and sevens, if you've got those, smaller balls, the small tennis balls, I'd use them. I'd use different, balls that are soft and hard, different textures, so that they're just, working. Because some girls might be able to work off both feet early, so therefore they might want to block the ball because it might hurt them. So therefore, a softer ball might work there. So just a thought around that. I hope I answered that, Stephen. So I did. Okay, so what do we see the players do, coaches do? So let's go back to the coaching skills. When you've planned, when you've laid out your session, this is what you'll be doing. If I was to come and watch your sessions, guys, this is what I should be seeing you doing in your session. This is it. You've planned, you've laid out, now you're delivering. You should be introducing the activity. Today we're going to work on the kick pass. Today we're going to work on, this game is going to work on X, Y, and Z. You're going to be showing good demonstrations. And if you can't do the demonstrations, the player can do it. Today you're going to give good explanations. It's going to be short and concise. You're going to get players active, early. You're not going to be standing around and talking to players. You're going to be standing back, looking, observing. You're going to be using first names. You're going to be changing your voice. You're going to be using the time efficiently. You're going to be stepping in, stepping out. This is what you're going to be doing. Now, in my opinion, I think you'll do this very well if you've planned appropriately and you're ready to go and you've laid out. This is what the essence of coaching. This is what coaching is about. You do this well, you're on a great winner. I think you're on a great win. But look at the players. So if I'm coming down to watch the players, it's a different story. I'm not watching them standing around. I'm not watching them there looking at you for 5 or 6 minutes. They're kicking, they're catching, they're doing a warm-up, they're hand passing, they're changing direction, they're stretching, they're scoring points, they're scoring goals. They're doing that on a regular basis. Where are they doing it? For how long they're doing it? So really, guys, this is the essence of what you need to do. But if you're planned, you've really thought about things, then you'll be able to do this well. So the review. So before we show you templates, before we finish off tonight, we're going to show you a few templates. But I would ask you, everybody, how well do you do this currently? Think about your coaching skills. How well can you execute your coaching skills? And how often is it the organizational stuff that hamper you from doing it well? Moving codes, changing bibs, looking for footballs, talking to players. How much does all that take up when you should be doing this, the coaching skills well? So from a review point of view, I'm conscious. Is there anything else there, Stephen, before I move on? Is there anything coming in, or are we happy enough to move on?
No, I think we're happy enough to move on.
So from a review point of view, guys, there's 3 kind of ways you can look at it. Discussion with your players. Before they go, do you ever ask players to go on a run up there, give a running pods of 3, and when you come back, ask the question, did you enjoy the sessions? Out of 10, on your way up there, out of 10, rate the session. Go on away. And also find out, ask the question, what do you take from the session? So when they come back, you ask them, guys, did you enjoy the session? Out of 10, what was it? Yeah, it was a 6. Okay, right. Why was it a 6? What did you learn tonight? So now you know straight away you're getting feedback. You're getting feedback already straight away to inform you how well you've done your session. Review your training plan. What went well? Geez, did that activity work well? Oh, geez, what? Did I play that too long? Did I play too short? So in terms of your training plan, what did you do well? What could I have improved on? Yeah, I did that too long there now. I could have did that a bit shorter. I could have divided the group a bit better there. Next session I will. And I'll show you examples now in a minute. But then you're going to evaluate your coaching skills. And don't forget the importance of this. So there are 3 things that you can help you get feedback for yourself to get better the next time. So look at this. It's a simple performance wheel. It's on the e-learning. I can email it to you guys. Out of 10, rate yourself. My demonstrations tonight, 5 out of 10. My explanations, 7 out of 10. But I went on a bit too long. My observations, 0 out of 10. I was in the middle of it all the time. I was talking, shouting, and roaring. I had no time to observe. Feedback, didn't get time to give feedback because that run over. So always rate yourself out. Even if you do that, guys, even if you review your session and your coaching skills, as simple as this: ask the players, go up the field in pairs of three, and come with feedback. Review your training plan, which you've written down, and also just give your measure yourself out of 10. You're doing yourself well. Stephen, what's your thoughts on that?
I do exactly the same, William. At times, I suppose the last time I got to coach a session was just before Christmas, so I have an hour journey to training and back. And for me, my review time is going home in the car, and I record everything on my phone. So I talk through the session, and then when I get an opportunity in the next day or two,
You go back on it.
Yeah, I go back on it.
That's interesting.
That's the way I do
tonight,
it.
geez, yeah, good. I always ask the players, just for their feedback. I always ask the players for feedback. I always rate myself out of 10 on the coaching skills. But look at another one here, guys. If you want to get your players to even, I suppose, review their own performance, look, you could make these up. You can put whatever you want in this. Very simple. Out of 10, give them out a sheet of paper and let them scribble in. Out of 10, what do you think? Making decisions in tonight's session. What do you think out of 10? Oh, I thought, and let them scribble in, and you'll be very interested for themselves as feedback as well. But I'll show you one or two other ideas in a minute. So let's show you what it looks like in club. Let's show you what it looks like in club. We'll also show you a few session planners, and we'll leave it at that tonight. We want to keep it simple. We don't want to overall. This is a club that I'm going to show you. That thanks to my colleague who I work with in late football, providing me with this template. So this is a club, and this is how probably putting it all into perspective in terms of how it all starts from fishing. So look at here. They were with the nursery group in their club. They had all the dates laid out, what they're going to work on, skills, when they're not going to train, when they're going to do their games. They also wrote a little descriptive of, well, what kind of players, who is in front of us? What kind of players do we have in front of us? Because that's going to determine how we coach. I just thought that was nice. So this is simple now. And this is a template that they use. Then they extracted, remember the competency chart we had earlier on? They extracted the information that was applicable to their age group. And they looked at the 4 key competencies: technical, tactical, physical. Oh, these are areas you need to work on. Okay, we're going to work on X, Y, and Z. So now they have an idea of what activities they need to be doing. But look at this. Look at the outline of their session on the right. The coaches and everybody's going to arrive at 4:45 for a 5 p.m. session. The equipment will be available and the session will be laid out. When the girls come at 5 o'clock, they're given a bib and a name tag. They're all put into groups of 6. This is a club session. At 5:05, they're given their bibs. Okay, they warm up as a big group. And look, they've even got the games. Stuck in the mud, Simon says. Then at 10, they're going to break out into their sessions. Look on the left. Look at the 6 sessions. Look at what they're working on. Games, kicking, catching games, circuit, working on the movement quality, bouncing the ball, and little 3v3 games. That's their stations. Then when they're finished their stations, they're going to do them for 10 minutes and rotate around. Then they're going to come back. They're going to do a little cool down. They're going to sanitize all the gear and the equipment. And they're going to make sure the girls are ready to go by 5 to 6 because the parents will be waiting. It's 5 to 6 is the session. So the parents will be there at 6 o'clock to pick them up. So therefore, they need to be efficient in what they're doing. Look at this, though. So here, we have 6 coaches and 1 lead coach, okay? 6 coaches. But look at this. Every coach in every station was given an activity card. Look at it there. Station 3, fun game. Station 4, kicking. Station 5, catching. Station 2, look at the circuit, look. Station 1, bouncing. Station 6, games. Here are the stations here. But now, here's the skill card that you use in your station. So can you imagine me giving this to you, Stephen, on a Monday for a Friday session? You're doing the circuit activity station, Stephen. Here's your skill card. Here's the equipment you need. Here's the coaching points. Here's how you set it up. Wow. How would you feel about that, Stephen? How would you feel about that?
Doesn't get any easier, does it?
Well, no, but also it allowed that coach time to plan and prepare. And maybe, okay, I don't have ladders. Jeez, what am I going to do? I'll use cones. Or for this station, I'm going to need 6 footballs. Well, that coach is going to source 6 footballs. So when they come to their station, they have enough footballs. So it gets coaches thinking as well. Even though they're given a bit of guidance, they still have to think and plan about what they're doing, how they're going to lay it out. if they want it to work well. But I just thought this was an excellent example, really, Stephen.
It's a massive support, the level of detail the club has gone into there, William, and it's a massive support to their coaches and assistant coaches, and
Unbelievable.
it helps with their own planning, as you said.
Yeah, and I'll ask Claire, but that was a club. I had to ask her to ask her could I use it, because it is a great example of the planning that went into it, in specifics, the layout, and also the review as well as courses as well. Okay, we're going to show you a few session planners and we're going to move it on. Okay, if you want these afterwards, Stephen's available. He'll email them all on to you afterwards. Okay, sorry, that's only tongue-in-cheek there, guys. Okay, so here's a few examples of session planners you could use, guys. And they're all different levels, so you don't have to use these, but these are just a few ideas. So here's one here, look. Session planner. Put in your session outcome. Look at this one here. It says, okay, technical skills, right. Oh yes, I have 3 drills I'm going to use that's going to work on kick passing. Right, tactical. I'm going to use this small sided game to work on movement, running into space and awareness. Athletic development. Yeah, I had that box ticks. We have stations set up to work on movement quality. Psychological, social. Yeah, that box is ticked. When the chat breaks, we're going to have chat. When the water breaks, we're going to have chat time. And as they come in, we're going to have a chat time from 7:15 to 7:30. And also at the end of the session, I'm going to ask them for their feedback. So now you've all the boxes ticked. Put in your content and your how, and then review the session. Look at this template. Use this. If anybody wants to take it away, but also, why don't you get your fellow coaches to observe you? Remember earlier on I was talking about rate yourself out of 10. Why can't you use this as a checklist? Look, how do you build a relationship? Look at it there. Did I introduce myself? Did I use first names? Did I smile? Jeez, I hope you do smile in sessions. Create a positive environment. Look, going back to the coaching skills. Did I demonstrate clearly? Were the players active 100% of the time? Did I stick to time? Were the players thinking for themselves? The only way you know that is by asking questions. So again, small little things you could use. Look at here. Go into more detail. Was there a sense of progression? How do I know that we achieved our aim? So if I ask the players at the end, what was the session about? And they all go, yeah, we focus on the kick passing. Then I know they achieved their aim. But you need to know, did they achieve it? So how do I know the players are improving? Who were finding the solutions? And write in the evidence. Do you have evidence to back up? You should be able to answer these off the tip of your tongue. You might even have to write it down, guys. You can just have these as a kind of a guide. Did the players enjoy the session? But how do you know that? How do you know the players enjoyed themselves? And I'll show you a little template in a minute that you could use. Next session I will. So there you are, guys. A simple tick the box review sheet. Stephen, any thoughts on that?
I think it's brilliant, William, especially for time wise. You're literally ticking the box, because you could be agonizing it, for an hour or 2 hours if you want to do it with your coaching group. So exactly. Simple, quick tick the box.
Simple, quick tick the box and nugget. Look at this. The question I asked there about how do I know the players enjoy the session? Look at this simple thing. Template. So get the players to fill out this after, and why we use emojis, because players, they kind of relate to pictures and emojis. So how did you feel before the session? How did you feel after the session? Were you happy with the coaching you received out of 10? How do you feel about your football? Do you feel you're getting better? Unsure. Yeah, I think I'm getting better. What do you learn from today's session? That only takes about 3 minutes to fill out, but now you've 30 players' feedback in a simplistic version. You now know what your players are thinking. That'll develop you. Now, if you don't want to know what your players are thinking, then you won't ask them. I'm sure, Stephen, that kind of applies, is it? Really?
Yeah, like you could use that at under 6 level. You could use that with your adult team. Do you know what I mean? There's no barriers here with age.
There's no barriers at all. So that's a one there for the players, to get feedback from the players. And maybe you could use a performance wheel, Okay, session observation. Again, if you want someone to observe your session, or maybe if you want to kind of go give a few pointers after a session, how did I do in planning tonight? My use of equipment, did I use the equipment? Did I have sufficient equipment? What was my organization like? What was my voice control like? Was there a good flow to the session? What was my positioning like? Was I in the middle all the time? Was I standing back observing? Was my content relevant to my team? Did that activity meet what I was trying to achieve? Did I use names? Did I mention everybody in a session? What was my appearance like? Did I go down with the boots, or did I go down kind of looking the part? I always say, guys, looking the part is halfway there. You might have a clue what you're at, but if you look the part, you will get definitely a buy-in straight away. Stephen, thoughts?
I think it's brilliant. It's just another idea, William. Some people like a lot of detail. Obviously, it depends on how much time you have. That one you could go into more detail, whereas I prefer the shorter one, tick the box.
Stephen, this is your one. If you want to give a quick explanation of what is the key things you look out from here, or this is your actually session, so thanks for sharing it.
So this is one of my session planners I use for my adult team. So obviously you can see I have the aim of the session, what we're going to do in the warm-up. We've got our dynamics and mobility in there, and that gives the players time to go through their own routines. Obviously we break down the organization session. You'll see I don't have any names there because I've taken over a new team with this session planner. So my management team are learning about me before we break up what we're going to do with each part. If you scroll back down, William, so you see the green part on the right hand side. I give the players through WhatsApp this screenshot of the breakdown of the session, so they're going to know what time to start at, what time we're going to finish, what the aim is, and then a little snippet of what we're going to do through our activities. And obviously I've got my coaching points of what I want to get across, what equipment is needed, and then the administration side of things. So we were talking about what kind of training we were going to do Christmas week and through New Year's, but we know how that went.
I have a question here from Tom. I'll answer here, Tom, if you don't mind, in terms of what are tennis balls for the equipment. So I use that for hand-eye coordination. So if I'm doing an activity whereby I'm doing a warm-up, then I might have some girls throwing a tennis ball to each other. I might have other girls hand passing the big ball to each other. So just hand-eye coordination, getting used to different movements. So I use the tennis balls for that. But geez, Stephen, that's some level of thinking now where you actually give the players, where you need to be really planned, be able to give the players your idea of what you're doing, even an outline beforehand. That's really good planning, I think.
Yeah, so basically in my planning, I plan the season, then I plan a month, I plan a week, and then I plan a session. Yeah. And obviously through this session, next week's session, my original plan might change slightly depending on our learnings and our work-ons from the previous session.
Wow. You're a good coach, Stephen. You're a good coach now, in fairness.
I'm always learning, William. Yeah, always learning.
Here is a session plan from our level 2 program. Thanks, Stephen. That was actually an excellent example. I was really fascinated by that, Stephen. So I'm delighted you shared, and thank you for sharing your template. In terms of the session plan, this is level 2 here. So again, look, what was the theme? How will I measure success? That's what I have down here. What questions will I ask? What are the possible challenges I'll see? How will I? So remember I talked about the small side of the game, we might use an activity to fix it? Well, this is what helped me here. If I don't see the kicking ability that good, I'm going to use this session here. I'm going to use this drill here. What did I see the players doing? What did I see the coach doing? Look at the coach though. It's all about the coaching skills. I'll demonstrate using a flip chart. I'll lay out using a tennis ball. I'll have them small group to bigger groups. Look what the players are doing. They're going to be talking to each other, feedback, finding problems, finding scenarios, finding solutions. It's all there. What are my key priorities? It's all there. But look at the review though. Look at the detail here now. This is level 2. This is our level 2 coaching program. This is level 2 stuff. This is probably higher level stuff now. But look at this though. What was I exactly looking for? So I need to, okay, this is what I was looking for. How do I know my players understood? Here's what I did. Give me examples of the questions I asked. Look at all the questions I asked. What problems did I notice in the session? This is what I noticed. How did I solve them? What did I do? How did I measure success? No fumbling. Ability to finish the move and score. How was it achieved? I know how this, okay, what was achieved, what wasn't achieved. Again, this is the level of detail at the higher level. What did I do well? What did I not do so well? Next time I'm going to do this. So the point we're trying to make to you is there's loads of ways you can review your sessions. Plan, do, review your sessions. There's loads of ways. There's loads of, you can go into real detail. You can keep it simplistic. But the point we're trying to make to you is you adapt the level of detail to the stage of development that your group is in. But it's important that you think about it, that you plan it by writing it down, And the only way you can really review is by writing it down and assessing it off something. If you've nothing to assess it off, then it's going to be very unlikely that you know if you're improving or developing as a coach. So, Stephen, is there anything else there before we just wrap up the last few slides and we go into question and answers?
I suppose the big thing for everybody, it's not an exact science. There is no right and wrong ways to do our planning. So it depends on how much time you have as an individual. I make time throughout my day to make sure I have enough time to plan my session for next week, not even for tonight.
Yeah.
So,
but I suppose the point really, Stephen, is give it the time, guys.
yeah,
It's worth it because your sessions will be, I always say, players won't know you've planned. Or parents. They won't know you've planned, guys. They won't. But I can guarantee you they'll know if you didn't plan. I can guarantee. Would you agree with that, Stephen? Players and parents won't know if you've planned, but I can guarantee you after 5 minutes, they'll know if you have planned. Do you know?
exactly.
Or if you haven't
exactly.
planned, do you know?
And Paul mentions it here. Do you think a session can be too scripted? And he goes on to say, I think sometimes it's better to adapt to the conditions.
But this is what I'm saying, Paul. If you're in your mind planned and you know what you're at, which will be prescriptive, you would be more able to adapt to what you see. So you might go to session going, no, do you know what? I'll keep on this now. Do you know, I had planned for this, but I leave that off. I'll do this. So you get me, Paul. You're being more adaptive because you thought about it. How many times I agree with you. I know a lot of coaches that go from A to B to C to D because it's in their plan. I wouldn't recommend that. I said the plan is a guide. Then you apply what you see in front of you. So I'm going to put up a poll, guys, based on what we've done tonight. And I'm going to show you a few resources where you can go and get that stuff. I'll show you those websites, guys. So just bear with me for a second. I'm going to launch a poll based on the webinar, guys. Okay. How well now do you think you plan a review? Are you in a good place? Yeah, I'm not too bad. I just need a bit more on my planning phase. Yeah, I need more work on the review phase, or Jesus, I need to go back to the drawing board. So be honest in your reflection, guys. Be very honest in your reflection, and we'll just see what comes through. And we'll show you one or two websites you can go to probably help you with what we've done tonight. So very interesting, guys. We've over 100 people here tonight, which is fantastic. I hope you enjoyed the webinar. We just have 2 slides to go through now, guys, before we finish up. So 25% say they need to go back to the drawing board. Okay, if you've learned, if that's a learning, great. Okay, hopefully we've given you a few ideas. 36% says they need to work a lot more in the review phase, and I agree with you guys. I think it's the review phase that we need to work a lot. 33% says they need to work more in their planning phase. Well done. I hope. But 16% said they're in a good place. So 6%, we hope even tonight for that 16%, guys, we hope tonight you took something from the webinar that will also help you. And maybe there's 1 or 2 ideas that are there. So before I finish, guys, there's the LGFA, www.ladiesgaelic.com/learn. We have the skill cards, we have videos, we have various activities on our Pell magazine. We've loads of skill cards. There's a nursery booklet, there's skill booklets, there's goalkeeper resources. The activities you want to print your plan are all there. But I'm just going to unshare here for a second because I'm going to show you where there's an excellent website that I would recommend you to go to. I don't know, are you all aware of the GAE learning website? Can you see that, Stephen? You can?
We kind of did, yeah.
As you see here, guys, on the GAE learning website, there's an actual planner. It has over 1,000 activities for every age group at every level that gives descriptors. Remember I talked about the descriptors earlier on about the club that they gave out the skill cards. They have skill cards. I'll give you an example. Sure, we'll open up one. So we go to captain ball here. So we'll view it. So look here, guys. There's the descriptor. There's the stepper. Well, how can I make it easier or harder using the stepper model? The space, the time, the equipment, the place. But you know what? There's the actual skill card. But sure, we'll watch a video. Let's watch a video. So the point I'm making to you is, guys, there is a resource there where you can look at it all there. Different age groups. Look at the different skill types. look at the different activity types you can work on, look at all the activities. You can build a session by going in to the GA e-learning website, clicking on planner. When you go into the main website, guys, if you click on planner, it's right there in front of you. You'll be able to access all these resources. So there it is there in front of you, guys. There's a website there. If you want to plan a session, it actually even has a session planner where you can drag and move activities from warm up to the main body to the cool down. So as you see, guys, there's loads of ideas and drills and videos there for you to see. So, on that note, we hope you enjoyed tonight. But before you go, I would love if you could, in the chat function, just let us know what was your learning point from tonight. What did you take from tonight? What was your moment, or what are you taking away? So please, guys, in the chat function, or if you have any questions or queries, guys, we would love to answer any questions you may have. So Mairead Lynch says, plan, plan, plan. Mairead, we hope you enjoyed tonight. Thank you very much for coming on. And I hope you enjoyed the weekend. Thank you very much. Guys, what did you learn? Tell us. Need to write down a plan. Well done, Con. I think if you write it down, you'll be able to work off it. Anything else, Stephen, coming through?
Just a few thank yous at the moment. Planning earlier and take more time to plan.
And take that time, guys. Even if it's 15 minutes, just sit down. Think about all the variables that we spoke about planning. If you can answer all those questions on that first slide, you're in a good place. You're in a great place. Jennifer said she's definitely going to be reviewing her sessions. And Jennifer, we can show you we've no problem sending on those templates if they help you. Even the one that is to tick the box. What else is coming through, Stephen?
Clear communication. The big one is the planner and the GA learning website.
Yeah, that's a good one, the GA, and that's very good. But also the importance of knowing everybody else's role. So your fellow coaches, what's their role? What are they going to do? Give them the time to plan, develop them, rather than turning up and just finding out what they're doing on it. Ronan, I'm a new coach already and my session's planned, but I've learned a lot from this webinar. Thanks, Ronan. We're delighted you took something from it. Elaine Nash, thank you very much. A lot of planning needed and change layout and structure to keep them motivated. That's the key, Elaine. If you're planned, if you're efficient in what you're doing, you will engage players. I'm 100% solid on that. If you're not planned, players will get bored, they get demotivated. So the planning and the preparation, the layout is key. Stephen, anything else?
I think that's it at the moment, William. An awful lot of people on. Key of the equipment room and can lead to delay in setting up.
So, Jason, get the key. Make sure you have, if the key is going to be an issue, then find out before you go who you need to contact and get the key, Jason. Jason, I think I know you, but anyway, I hope you're well. So, Jason, if you need a key, go after it. You know where to get it, okay? Colette Barry, thanks a million. Really enjoyed. Thanks, Colette. Thank you very much for your kind words. So on that note, Stephen, I think we'll leave it at that. What was your key learning from tonight, Stephen? Or what'd be your one learning, or I suppose piece of advice before we leave? What would it be?
For me, it's just taking the time to plan, William. That's the big advice I can give to everybody. Take the time to plan. Make it.
Make the time to plan. And make the time to review, Stephen. Make the time. So we always say we don't have the time. Make the time.
Make it.
Make the time. So on that note, I'm going to just say thank you very much, Stephen, for all your assistance tonight. Thank you very much, everyone, for being on tonight. We hope you enjoyed it. We enjoyed it. We're looking forward, hopefully, to be getting back in the field soon, hopefully, over the coming weeks, months. But look, on that note, keep doing a good job. Keep working away and planning and layout and reviewing. So when you do come back, you'll be in a great place. So thank you.